talk.
I bet I can make you change your mind.
And all action.
How do you like your ribs? 1, 2, 3.
When it calls for action, he's the one to call.
So in fact, it was extremely easy to fit that role, to fit that part. In some ways, she was very much like me. Her characteristics, extremely like me. At certain points in my life, you know, that I've had to overcome. So it was just reliving a past thing, you know. Her anger, everything that's balled up inside of her, and I've been through a rehab and done the whole thing, you know, so I understand her. So I woke up a little sooner than maybe she would. And I think that Sydney shows there's a glamorous life that she leads, but behind the closed doors, there are problems. She's feeling the wrong feelings. She's not living like she really wants to live because she wants to forget so much.
When I was 15, that's the first time I met him.
At Wembley Stadium in London when I was 15. I went to the show just by chance, met him after the show. I was there VIP because I was a little bit known and in the music business. Went to the concert and then afterwards I met him backstage.
And we just spoke and, you know, had a nice conversation, I think, nothing else. And then when I was 17, then I bumped into him and that's when, like, we started a relationship.
Good evening. There's a lot of things I could say about 87. Pro and con, mostly pro. But I'm not a speech maker, so I'll do what I do best. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
He had these questions in his heart and his mind, I think, and the night that I met him, he felt like there was a sign. And
yeah, the sign was, don't put out that shit that said only good rappers are dead rappers.
He wrote the nasty songs, and then he wrote songs that make you praise the Lord. And that's what he did. And it worked. Now, us that know that, we ain't going for that.
Hi, this is Morris Day. He used to live in Minneapolis. Now he lives in Minnesota. I'm getting ready to move out to this Raggedy.
And see, we would have been neighbors and things, but he moved in my neighborhood after
he left.
Or else I would have stayed and things.
Because it couldn't be two stars in the same neighborhood.
But actually, there could have been, you know.
Yeah,
but see, then we'd always been buying bigger cars. I'll do the other one, see.
I'll do the other one. We'd be broke.
We'd be broke.
I'm broke now because I'm still in Minneapolis, so I got to move out here to make some money.
And I'm broke because I'm out here, and it's expensive to live out here, see.
And we gone.
This edition of the Midnight Funk Association is now being called to order. Hello, Prince.
Hello, Detroit.
Speaking of Jerome Benton, you've always maintained contact with people who've flown under the wings of Prince.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, there's people that have flown the coop, so to speak, and gone off to do their own thing, which is great, and I stand behind them and support them with whatever they do.
You've been working with Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam. What's that like?
I was there for a month and a half. It took us 2 weeks to complete the album. The rest of the time we fooled around and had a lot of fun. They're perfectionists.
I read somewhere that you were going to do a movie with the Time.
They're writing the screenplay right now.
You're going to be doing a movie with the original Time members and Janet Jackson. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, what I can tell you is that's hopefully going to be in 1988. We're shooting for 1987, and everybody's schedules got so caught up that it doesn't look like we're going to make it. But we are planning on still doing it. It's just going to take a little longer than we thought, but we're looking forward to doing it.
So hopefully it will happen.
Do you think that there's a possibility that well, I've just heard rumors through the grapevine that there's a possibility that the Time was going to record again?
Well, Mojo, anything's possible.
Yeah.
God willing, and hopefully everybody's head will be in the right place. I'd like to see all that happen. Contrary to rumors, we're all real tight still, and I have a strange feeling we're all going to be together again one day. We'll have to see. Remember, he had our attention because of his success. When you got somebody that's that intense, that successful, yeah, things go wrong, but he could correct it as well. Certain things happen, everybody fell apart, but I still love all those guys and I hope they get back together because I want some competition, you know?
You know, a lot of groups split up. It happens all the time. I think it should be a law against it, especially when it's somebody like the Kind. We've been talking about the reunion for a year now. It is time to happen. And this better place for it to happen right here in Minneapolis.
Prince couldn't be here tonight, but he would like to say thank you very much to all his fans. And he loves you very much. Thank you.
Stephen Fargnoli and Cavallo did work with Prince, and over a 4-year period, we built Paisley Park.
I mean, there was Fargnoli, who I answered to, and Cavalo and Ruffalo to a degree. By the time we built Paisley, it was a pretty big crew of technicians and engineers.
Well, no, yeah, it was very unique. Most artists, first, they don't have the means to do something like this, but Prince did because of his success. And through his, himself and his managers, they just a program that she set out. He has a large stage to do movies and to rehearsal. Spaces to do videos.
The video for Alphabet Street. Now, it was a phone call on a Sunday morning in a snowstorm. No advance notice whatsoever. It was literally like 10, 11 o'clock Sunday morning, phone rings. I want to shoot a video. Okay, when? Now?
But her Alphabet Street was the best song on the LoveSexy album. And I got cut out the video. I did. Prince said that we weren't filming that day, and I said, okay, I'm going to take the day off. And we did as a matter of fact, I was hanging out with Ingrid Chavez.
We were supposed to be the legs in that video.
Yeah, she was.
But
she was
I got the call
to be the legs
later in the
Alphabet
day
Street.
that they didn't need me, and I guess they used Sheila's
They didn't
legs.
need me or Ingrid. They needed Sheila E. So me and Ingrid got cut off the video.
This is a model of a car of his that's in Alphabet Street. And that's where this car will appear. These are parts of this is the entire vehicle here. You can see it being assembled. It has to come apart for transport. It's all battery operated, and they're all prototypes. Nobody knows totally what the car will do yet because we haven't had time to work it around yet.
There was a wardrobe department.
Right now we're getting ready for the upcoming tour. We have, let's see, polka dots are big on this tour. We do, Prince tells us, brings in a design, either a sketch or an idea, and then we work with that and then develop it. Now, well, on the stage there's a teal piano. But teal is a big color.
We had 2 identical control rooms with different size studios.
Came in at around midnight one night and said, listen, I got some ideas. He brought in a few keyboards, bass guitar, and his electric guitar, plugged them in, and 45 minutes later we had what I term a new song. I mean, it was just fantastic. Just one guy came in and just played, and it was just, I've never seen anything like it.
That's amazing. We worked with some of the best studio musicians in Los Angeles and London, and I've never seen anyone with so much energy and creative output. Like no comparison.
Prince, alias Roger Nelson, Prince qui depuis hier est donc à Paris et pour 4 jours, Prince donc au Palais Omnisport de Bercy.
Brother Maurice to be round in a minute with a bucket filled with squirrel meat. Blood is tough, but the aftertaste said the aftertaste just lasts and lasts. Somebody touch you, wanna party all night. All right!
Le kid de Minneapolis haranguant ses fans n'est plus à une provocation près. Prince accorde à Paris ce princier privilège, la primeur mondiale de son nouveau show.
And that's what LoveSexy is about. It's not about falling in love with a girl or a guy having sex. It's falling in love with your spirit and your feelings and life, just to love one another and not to hate each other and not to be jealous of one another and not to persecute anyone.
By the time we got on the road in the States, we had lost the opportunity to really hype the album as anything new. It had been out for 3 months.
Don't forget it tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. at the Met Center. Something special you don't want to miss is Prince, yes, and he's going to be in concert with that LoveSexy, and it's going to be something great, huh? Here's something from the Sign of the Times LP.
Prince and his amazing 8-piece band, the Toast of Europe, returned to his native turf last weekend to prepare for the kickoff dates of their long-awaited U.S. tour. And Minneapolis was proud to welcome him back.
He continues to bring people back to Minnesota and Minneapolis and say, hey, this is a really happening place to make music.
And his longtime fans, of course, were ecstatic.
I came from Michigan to be here. This is happening as hell right now. This is the hopping place. This is Minneapolis.
I think everyone's getting pretty excited that he's back, and I think he'll put on a good show. It's his first show, and he's got to kick it off in a big way.
Ironically, although Prince tour dates in such major urban centers as New York and Chicago sold out in less than an hour, in his hometown, he couldn't quite sell out the 13,500-seat Met Center. Was it a case of simple overfamiliarity, or what?
Like I said before, you know, the only city in the United States that didn't sell out the Beatles' first tour. Maybe it's just Minneapolis.
Lots of sexy songs, of course, and as anyone who's paid close attention to Prince's current LoveSexy album might anticipate, a strong new sense of higher purpose. With his new show, Prince is taking off into brave new areas of jazz, blues, funk, rock, and of course his own unique brand of earnest spirituality. Judging by the fate of the LoveSexy LP, not one of his commercial knockouts, some of his fans may be feeling a bit confused. But Prince and his band are united in the belief that the message behind their music will ultimately make all things clear, and that message is maybe best communicated in concert.
Fans are fans. They've been real supportive of us, and I really appreciate that people have come out to see us, even though the record is not doing good. I think they just don't understand what we're doing, and when they come out to see us, like I said, for them to be touched by this is a great feeling in itself.
And the fans' verdict?
He's a genius. He's a musical genius. It's like Amadeus of our times. It's wonderful, wonderful.
Even Prince's friends and fellow performers were bowled over by his brilliant return.
So when I saw it in London, too, and it's done improved again since then. That was like a couple of weeks ago. No, he's on it this time. He's on it.
I thought it was excellent. I thought the lighting was amazing. I thought everybody worked really hard. I'd like to know whose lighting company is.
I think it was just a good culmination of who he is. I mean, really, I think that's how he's been through the years, and it's right there on the stage.
Guy's really playing a lot of guitar this time around. The concert itself, however, was almost upstaged by the post-show party that followed it back at Prince's Paisley Park recording complex, where he and his band put in another 2.5 hours on stage, roaring through a wild array of covers, including Aretha Franklin's Chain of Fools and James Brown's Cold Sweat with Prince on drums. Mavis Staples stepped up for a rendition of the Staples Singers' hit I'll Take You There. Wendy and Lisa sat in for a bit.
Lisa and I went
to Minneapolis, I was a Chuck D fanatic. I put it on at Paisley, and everybody, as soon as it was played in the room, everybody was getting up and dancing. He was so uneasy with Chuck D, and the cadence of Chuck's voice being in that lower sort of demanding frequency freaked him out.
Very powerful.
It didn't seem, it's like the metal people when they hear Nirvana.
It was the antithesis of what Prince was trying to do. Like, he was aiming at your grandmother now, not at your kids.
He wasn't having hit singles from the album.
He got a little frustrated with me. He was telling me I couldn't bust those records no more. I said, boss, let me explain something to you today. This stuff today is different. It's all about call-out research and stuff. And I said, Prince, have you heard radio? Do you listen to radio? Of course, I don't listen to radio.
There's a reason you don't go from L.A. to Chicago to New York and then back to San Francisco. Anybody with a map can figure that out. That's what LoveSexy was like in Europe because of these other tours. And we explained that to him. And he's like, make it work. I don't care. The expenses being what they were from a business standpoint, the tour didn't make money. And Prince decided to blame all of that on his management.